What's up, guys? I'm gonna make. Hopefully, this is. I think this is the right audio. Yeah, this is it. This is gonna be a video going over just kind of a weekly game plan. It's Sunday night. It's like 1 a.m. They kind of kicking it, so I'm a little late on charting. But just kind of what I look for and how I chart a weekly zones, my hourly zones. So as you can see, blank chart, hourly, and I am on regular hours for ES. So how I'm going to chart this is, and with all-time highs, I will say this, I am going a little bit more into detail. I'm going into the 30-minute time frame sometimes. So I'll draw my hourly zones, but then I'll drop down to my 30-minute time frame to try to identify a little bit better zones and make them a little bit smaller, just because it is harder trading all-time highs, especially with like going zone to zone. So kind of keep that in mind. Let's see. So, like, I have two zones I would draw right here. Okay. And I am marking them out. So, like, yes, this is still pretty decent, but although we have you can see this 5,690 level on ES, like, I would want to make this zone, but I don't want a $6 zone. So here's kind of my solution to that. And what I've been doing is I'll drop down to the 30-minute. And, if I had to ask myself, like, how could I clean this up and make it look prettier and make my zones a little bit more smaller and defined. So what I might do is maybe like that. Actually, I'm not liking that. So for this top zone, what I would do is probably make it like this. That way my zones are a little bit more significant. And I'm trying to, like, my goal here is to only trade those significant zones. So, like, yes, I could move this up and get this wick at 97 to 94. Like, that would be a $4 zone like that. That would be relatively better. But it's all kind of just on preference. And, I tell people, like, your zones are going to be one with you. Not everyone's going to have the same zones on SPY or NQ. So it's kind of just preference, in my opinion. But as long as you kind of get the gist and you understand how it works. So, like, yes, these are a little bit tighter zones, but like you can see here, this is a $3.25. This is a $3.20. So, like, your ES zones want to really be like really $1 to $3. Like, that's the best. And lately, I've noticed myself drawing my zone's a little bit larger with all-time highs, and it does work, but I've found it a little bit more accurate to just drop down to the 30-minute time frame and just kind of simplify it a little bit, and that's just me personally, but find what works for you and stick with it. So, like, I like this rejection here at 56.76 because we sold off pretty significantly. So I'm going to drop down the 30-minute and I'm going to see, okay, where can I connect this to make it look and kind of make sense? I could connect it here, but I want to try to, I'm going to connect it here at 73. And honestly, I could move it up to 74. That way I'm capturing this wick here, this wick here, this wick, and this wick. So this is a pretty significant zone. So, like, I want to try to go for 4 candle wicks. That makes the zone valid for me. But you also, like, when you're drawing zones, like, you also want to be able to read price action. Like, you could see here, we tapped 76 towards end of day, and you can see this big ass wick. So, like, I could assume if we come up to 74.25 to 76.50, I would want to see a sell off like we did last time. But if I draw my zone on the hourly, and maybe I connect it to, like, right here. Yes, that's a little bit. The $2 difference is fine, but, like, it all goes on preference. Like, I would rather wait for more confirmation, and that would be me drawing my zone a little bit smaller based off the 30-minute time frame. Personally, it's all preference on, you know, what works for you. So like right here, I might make this like a level just because I could see 1-2 wicks here as well. But I definitely want to capture this wick down here. This is going to be pretty significant. I'm going to connect it here because you can see that wick as well. I'll probably, that's decent. So like, this is a perfect example. So I've got a wick here, sorry, I'm trying to make it really easy. Wick here, and a wick inside the zone. Okay, so I could assume that this 59 to 65 is going to probably act as some sort of supply and demand, because you can see here, like, if we break below it, I would assume we go lower, but then you could also see we might be able to bounce and go higher. So this would be a little bit larger zone, so I would probably make this, I'd probably change the color of this level and make it kind of important. So like if we break 59, we'll probably go see, you know, 56.50. So you also have to be able to read price action, and I don't know, like, I mean, it's time on charts personally. You have to be able to understand price action. So like when I'm looking for intraday plays, like I'm looking at the 10-minute probably just to look at, like, the 10-minute for me, I read price action off the 10-minute, the 30-minute, and the hourly to understand, but then I'll go in on the 3-minute and I will go look for, you know, okay, we're coming up to the zone, we're kind of, you know, we're not getting through it, so I'm going to try to take my entry here and go short and go zone to zone, because your hourly, you want to see price just go zone to zone, and that's what you're looking for. Same thing with if you break it down to the 30-minute, you want clean price action that's going to go zone to zone, and that's going to give you a good reading of how to read price action. So once I'm done, like, I mean, even just looking at this, like, you can see it is, I know I'm not finished below, but you can see zone, 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 you know what I mean? So you could go zone to zone to zone, and this is already really pretty. So let me keep going on this chart, and this could be, oh, actually I'll pause the video. I don't know how to pause right now. Shit. Well, I was gonna try to pause it and just only play it when I'm charting, but now you guys are gonna have to listen to everything I do. So hopefully you can get a good understanding of how I kind of go about this. Okay, so looking at this, I want to get this high of this candle, and where would I want to try to connect this? Probably at 47. That's, I do like this, but go to 47. Let me drop down. So like when I see a lot of candle wicks like this is when I'll usually go and I'll just chart the 30-minute, because like with the 30-minute you can see rejection, 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 and so forth. But on the hourly, you're going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this might throw you off, and you might want to try to draw a zone like this. Well, I've captured all these candles, but okay, if you go on the 30-minute, like, yes, you are, but you want to try to keep your zones tight and small. So like it would just be better to draw like something probably, see, it's really preference. So like you could draw a zone like this and you're capturing this wick, this price action, or you could move it up to 47. Yeah, right there. And then you're capturing really just the wick. So like this zone is probably a lot better than drawing it, down to here. And yes, it is a 1 to 1.5 point difference, but for me personally, it just gives me a little bit more confirmation, because I know that, let's say we break down and we come up, that 3-point zone being different from a 5-point zone is going to help you on your risk to reward, because let's say you take a trade in the zone, your 2-3 point stop, rather than a 5 to 6 point stop and try to get 30 points. It's going to help you overall, just trading wise. So, and then for my next zone, since we are in all these candle wicks, what I want to try to capture is So I've got these two rejections plus this one, which is where we moved from Friday. Then I would probably take my zone to 40, 25, just because I've got this wick. I've got all these wicks in here as well. Same thing here. This is that low of that candle. Okay, so with this, and I'll just kind of draw it. I wish I could pause this recording. I'm not really too sure why I can't. Yeah, sorry. Otherwise, I would just pause it and show it to you. You know what? This would be way better if I just drew it. Okay. Candle, 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 or I'm sorry, wick. Like, you can see that this is such a good zone right here. Look how many wicks there are. This is beautiful, in my opinion. Like, that's a work of art. So I know that from coming down, this is probably going to act as support, but once we're below, it's going to act as resistance, okay? That's just common sense. But to me, that is a really pretty zone, getting those rejections, because they're so, it's from one end of the candle wick to another. Rather than if I were to move this down to, rather than to move this zone and make it a lot larger, this is pretty clean. You know, you're not going to capture all of them, but the rule of thumb is try to capture 3 to 4 wicks on an hourly. Personally, like, the more the better. And the more the better with a smaller zone is just kind of, I don't know the saying for it, like the golden nugget. You know what I mean? Like, that's what you really want to see. Is if you have a small zone and there's, you know, 10 hourly candle wicks in a $2 or $3 zone on ES, like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, that's really pretty. That's perfect. So, like, yeah, I could, you know, if I wanted to, I could draw this zone up in here, and I might. That way I capture this candle wick as well. And it only makes, I mean, that's a $3.25 zone. That's really, really nice. I like that. You know, and you want to capture the larger wicks. So, like, even though I didn't get this one here, I didn't feel the need I have to. You can see this wick right here. Just because I already have significant wicks already, there's no point in me making the zone bigger, and then if I'm on a smaller time frame, my zones are too close together. Because you could trade this on the 3-minute, you could trade this on the 15-minute and the 30-minute, because you could see, okay, if we have a 15-minute wick, you know, between 47 and 50, we're probably going to go back to 40 and 43. Does that make sense? You can see every time we go up to this zone, rejected, rejected, rejected. So that's why I say it is all preference. But I mean, if sticking to just hourly zones and making them big works for you, that's, you know what I mean? That's great. Like, you could swing trade that. Like, on SPY, my zones are a little bit bigger because, you know, it's meant to catch the larger moves, but ES, it's a little bit different. And I know I'm on the 30-minute right now, but I've got the hourly pulled up on another screen. So just keep that in mind. And then for, like, levels, what I do with levels is, like, on an hourly, so, like, with levels, what I like to do, and this is, I don't know if there's any, like, real sense about this, but, like, okay, so I see a wick, and I can't really draw a zone right here, but there's a wick, and then there's kind of 2 bases of a candle, which is basically a candle closes at this 37 level and another candle closes at this 37 level. So when I see a couple candles close at the same level as 2 wicks where I can't draw a zone, that's where I'll draw a level on my hourly charts, if that makes sense. So my next zone would probably be, that's kind of ugly. Drop it down to 30-minute. Back to the hour. Let's probably do that. That way I'm capturing this wick and these 2 as well. And this zone will be a little bit smaller. Yeah, 28. Damn it. There we go. Okay. So this is the hourly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's pretty. 30-minute. You can see it is pretty. Like, you could take trades off this. So yeah, I like that zone right there. Let's keep working. Let's go back to our hourly. Okay, so like right here, there's a couple candle closes where the bases of the candle are like right at 20. So what I might do is draw it at. And sometimes like I'll split the middle. So like you could see here, candle close here at 19, candle close at 19, candle close at 19, candle close at 20, and then there's 2 wicks. So sometimes I'll just split the difference and just add like a level at 2050. Works for me. Now here's where it's going to get a little bit harder because you could just see this crazy uptrend and so forth. So this does get a little bit harder, I will admit, but we're going to do our best. So I like that, 1750. Probably it's just going to be 1525. Could do it like this. So, okay, you can see the difference here. Okay. This zone, just like this, could be valid. Okay. Or you could just draw it like this. That way, you know, if let's say we get a big candle wick right here, and it goes to 1750 or 1650, whatever. Like, this is going to be a good zone to kind of play out. Like, that's where you'll see those, if anyone knows the reference, like, dead cat bounces. So, like, a lot of people are like, well, how did you get that trade on ES or whatever? Well, I have a small zone, and I got a dead cat bounce. So, like, if we get a big sell tomorrow and we're coming into the zone, like, I will probably take a long here. And that's why I'm making this zone a little bit smaller, because this wick has a bigger move. So, for me, this is a, $11 move, $11 bounce, basically. I don't want to do that. So for me, this candle's a lot more significant than if I were to draw my zone here. So that's why I just go from this zone to this zone, because these 2 candles are showing me where the zones are, as well as this. So it's like, the larger the candle wicks are going to your zone, the more significant of a role they're going to play in your chart. The more significant that price action is going to react and act within that zone, if that makes sense. So, like, if I were to come here and try to chart these little hourly wicks that are just messy, or like the small candles, like what's for example, like if you were to chart this, just these small candles, and if I were to go like, just for example, here to here, and just kind of, draw them whatever, it's like these are probably going to be less significant because there are smaller candles. But if I'm going to go draw zones, and I'm going to draw them from here to here, and I'm just showing examples, like you could see, sell-off was big here, sell-off was big here, so you can see how, like, this zone, this 85 to 82, is probably going to be more significant of a zone than one of these zones in this really tight price action, if that makes sense. So that's why I chose to draw this 1525 to 1750 zone, personally, if that makes sense. So let's see. Got... Let's see. Okay. So, like, this is why it's important to also change time frames as well, because on the hourly, it would be kind of hard to draw a zone here. Like, you might just want to draw it like this, but if I go into the 30-minute, like you could see, we do get 1, 2, 3, 4, so pretty valid zone, and we're just dealing with what we got. If I wanted to go lower, I'm going to go to my hourly. I'm going to kind of keep looking. So you can see here, this is where I'm going to mark my high. If I'm going to drop to the 30-minute, try to see if I can fix this zone, make it look kind of pretty. This is hard. Yeah, that's kind of difficult. Where's those previous highs? So yeah, what you could do is you could draw a small zone like that. But if I go to my hourly, what does it look like? Maybe I'll just connect it like that. So that's why I'm always just flipping time frames, and it's just hour to 2 hour. Occasionally I will go to the 2 hour chart, because like you can see how even on the 2 hour chart, like this is pretty zone to zone, like really well zone. Like I think the only candle that's not in a zone is this candle wick, and the hourly just flows freely through the zones. The 10-minute flows freely through the zones. Like to me, this is fucking art. This is your Picasso. Like this is your Da Vinci. Like it's just pretty, and that's how zone to zone is have to play, because like each zone is a part of a rebalancing area in the market, where the market's gonna have to go back and revisit that zone to make it to make the next move up or the next move down. Personally, I mean that's what I've noticed. That's kind of what I understand. You know, even reading on book maps, like that's just how the market moves. So. Be a little bit prettier. Okay, so like these hourly candle wicks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they're there for a reason, because we rejected it first. This was resistance, and then it acted as support. And it's not, you know, it's not bullshit, it's not nonsense, but it is, you know, things happen for a reason. Might do. How does that look on the hourly? Does this look stupid? No, not really. Okay, so I'll probably just mark a level here. So again, level, and yes, this is a 30-minute time frame. Bitch at me, whatever. Candle wick, 2 bodies of the candle where the candle closes. That's gonna be a level. Same thing. Candle wick, body, or where a candle opens and closes. My bad. So pretty significant to me. So if I wanted to keep going, let's go back to my hourly, and hopefully I'm not moving too fast. You guys could always watch this video in like slow-mo or whatever. This is tough. So that's a tough zone to draw. I'm gonna drop it down to 30 minutes, see if I can make it look prettier. Well, here's a wick. That's what, 73 to 76. Could I make it like that? Probably, yeah, I'll keep it like that. And like, you know, you could always go, and I always say like go in and change your zones as well. Oh, fuck, I might have to change that. And I want to make it, since this video is going to be so long and I can't pause it, I'm not going to go over NQ, but it's the same thing for NQ basically. Like it really is. So, damn it, this would be 1 hour. Yeah, that's probably the best it's gonna have to do right there. See, it's like these zones right here are so close together. I don't like that, so I'm trying to figure out a reason why I should keep this zone valid. Because I really only see one significant wick and another one, and these are okay, but on the hourly, I don't really need that. This is hard. So what I might do is I might just draw. How does this look? Yeah, I don't like that. So I'm gonna come back to that area. So let's keep going. Here we go. Mark out that high. Mark out this. So I've got 2 wicks. Pretty good. Let's drop down to 30 minutes, see if I can make some little differences. So that's what? $2. Put it like this. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a little bit better. I like that. Go back to our 1 hour. See what we could do. And honestly, I mean, the reason I kind of just do it on the regular trading hours is because I don't really care about... Like, the only time you should really care about Asia and London is just for the highs and lows. Nothing else matters because it's so low volume. So keep that in mind. Definitely got to put this as at least a level or something. Okay, so this is a little different. So, like, sometimes when it is choppy, I will just get the 2 hour, which makes it a little bit easier. I'm probably going to keep this as a level just for right now. And then next zone is probably going to start here. I'm going to drop down in the 1 hour. See what I can and cannot do. It's 52. It's a bit larger zone than I like, but because I could see from this area, like every time we've approached 51 to 55, we've rejected pretty significantly. Like at least 30, yeah. 30 to like 20 point moves, so that's why I'm gonna keep that zone a little bit larger. And then I've got a level as well. So like if we were to, like if I'm trying to trade this move and we're approaching 51 to 55, like I'm gonna try to take a short in the zone and maybe my stop will be like 59. And I'll try to target that 30 points down, so I'll have a 4-point stop for a 30-point move. So that's a what, 10 to 1 risk to reward, 1 to 10, whatever the fuck. But yeah, God, I should not have deleted this because I had this all charted out real pretty. But yeah, I'm gonna close it as that, just because I went over the last video charting this and I just don't feel like charting it again. But yeah, I mean, as you could see, like looking at the 5 minute, like this is pretty tradable, like just ping pong effect, ping pong back and forth. And I bet even if we turn on electronic trading hours, like look at that, look at how that level, like. Oh, it's fucking makes you hard right there. So you see the level based off of the hourly. Okay. And see, why did I even draw that level? Yeah. Level, 2 candle wicks. Okay. And then if you turn your regular or your electronic, like, yes, it's not perfect, but it is fucking pretty much there. So yeah. And then what I do is just on a different chart or a different layout, I just do, like I'll work on my highs and lows for Asia and London in all of my sessions. But yeah, every time frame, like you could just see the ping pong effect, especially during New York. Like it's really pretty. I'll just kind of focus on last week, like every time frame, just ping pong. So like a good thing to know if you've done your zones right is if you can go on to different time frames and you can just see it. It's just beautiful price action going zone to zone. So that's kind of my sense as well. But yeah, this is really good zones going into next week. And if you wanted to like really spice it up, and I'll just do volume profiles from last week. So if you really wanted to spice it up and just draw your volume profiles from last week to this week, so you can kind of see how they align a little bit. Yeah, pretty. So you can see like it's a pretty big zone. Yeah. So I mean, this is my chart. This is like my intraday chart, how it looks like. I got last week's volume profiles. I've got last week's zones. And then, yeah, my next chart would just be going into volume profiles. Let's redo this. You know what? I'll do this for you guys too. So my 2 hour, it's fine. My swing high, you know what? We're going to do this swing high, or this swing low to this swing high. So let's go here to here. honestly, that doesn't look that great. Hold up. Let's maybe you could just go from here to here. It's probably a little bit better. But then again, I want to capture all this price action. Okay, so POC's at the same spot. This is POC at 53.50. God damn, we're at 50. That's crazy. Let's go. I don't know what the fuck just happened. Hold up, wait a minute. Yeah, the volume profiles are basically the same. We haven't talked. Oh, there we go. Now it's popping up. I really wanted to have. I really want to change my row size. Let's do 250. Just see what it looks like. Okay, so. Alright, so main key right here. Significant low volume zone. This as well. So like, okay, so here's a question I've had a lot too. Okay, when I see a zone like this is a whole like low volume zone, and then there's a small one in between. I mark this as well, like just like another one. Shout out to Mario for kind of showing me that, because it is a pretty cool little thing. Just to kind of show you like the greater area. Like for me, if I see this and I see that there's a zone between a zone, that's just going to show me that that one has the least amount of volume. It's like same thing here. Same thing here. Sounds pretty nice as well. And what I have been doing too is I have been marking out these higher ones, but what I do is I change the actual highlight color. Because like you could see like a large volume by POC, and then after 40 it just drops off, and then there's a low volume zone right at 44. So sometimes I'll change that as a color. Let's see. As well. Mark that. So like these would probably, I mean, yeah, this would be my low volume zones going into the week. Why is it not letting me? Okay, that's a little bit better. And what you can do as well is like for these highs, so like you could do right here and just put a level, and then what I would do is go in here, text, and just put volume drop off. So you see the volume drops off there. Then what else would I do? You could do the same thing here and just put like VOL drop off. How do I do this? There we go. And then you can mark out your VPs, which is your volume profiles, or you can put volume shelf, whatever you want. I don't really care. Like black. So, okay, like another thing too is like, what's a high volume node? So a high volume node is like this. This is a high volume node, but then this is also going to be your, damn it, can I get a good color? The color looks like shit. This chart background looks like shit, really. I don't want to do red because red represents POC. We'll just do orange. So I would just put HVN, and then also VAL, which is your volume area low. So it's when this unshaded part drops off. So it's like, if you want to get on the mathematical terms, it's like, let's say we had a fat candle here, and we're below this volume area low and below POC. the odds that we go back up to POC and back up to that volume area high, which is above this. So your volume area high, like for example, we go here to here. Okay, here's your volume area high where it's not shaded. Here's your volume area low where it's not shaded below. Does that make sense? So anytime it's above the volume area high or the volume area low, the statistics are really high. Like it's like 70 something percent. It's more than it's more than 50%, but the statistics that it goes back up is really high. So like a really good trade is like anytime we go to a low volume zone, play it back to POC, or anytime we go into a volume area low, play it back to POC as well. Put no vol gap. So like when let's say this we're coming into this no volume gap. What I would be looking for is I would just keep redrawing my volume profiles going into I do draw my volume profiles with the extended hours, but I would keep going back into keep drawing my volume profiles because you have to keep them up to date as price continues on to catch, because like the volume might accumulate here and here where my cursor is, okay, and then this no volume gap might tighten tighten up, and that might be the gap that sends us in a reversal back to POC. So as we're going down, I would just literally keep extending this out to just keep it updating. Personally, but yeah, I mean this is my chart. It's very pretty. And then if you want to drop down to the 15 minute, the 15 minute will also show you some more things as well. But I don't really go to the 15 minute. I'll go to the 30 and try to catch a little bit more. So here's a small gap. And sometimes I mark this with a different color. A small volume zone. This one's kind of interesting. I like that. What else? That's pretty much all I see that looks very good. Yeah. So yeah, that's my weekly. I mean, I do this on ES, NQ, SPY, and QQQ. But yeah, that's pretty much how I go through it throughout the week on a fresh new chart and a week's worth of price action. So just going off this, God, I cannot stand this fucking. Excuse me, 1 second. What is this background? It's way too dark. Yeah, it's pretty ugly. Ooh, nope. Yeah, and honestly, whoever trades with a fucking screen like this, you're a fucking loser. You're just so bad at the market. It's one color, not two. Just had to make that kind of clear. Yeah, this is a little bit better. I'm trying to go for the lighter look. What is this? It's way too bright. You know what? Let's find a new color. Okay. It's not bad. It looks way more brown, but these candles just look like dog shit. They look like... Right? Am I the only one who thinks that? That they kind of look faded? Sorry, I know I should end this video, but it's just kind of bothering me. There we go. That's what it is. Alright, that's a little bit better. But yeah, hopefully this kind of helps you guys read and understand. So, yeah, that pretty much makes up the video. Relatively easy. I mean, it took me a little bit longer just because I'm kind of dicking around. But as you go out through the week and you update it, you don't have to move it so much. The most amount of time you're going to spend is going to be on the weekends, that Sunday night, Saturday when you're charting. Changing it throughout the week. Sometimes you have no changes, but sometimes you will. So, here's one I missed. Oh, I'm not even getting wrong thing. This is key levels, volume profiles. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, and then intraday, like your volume profiles, like intraday through the week. Sometimes these will act a little bit more, kind of important. Personally, like probably for like, especially when we're range bound. Like yes, like drawing them on the hourly from that swing high to swing low on this is pretty important because this is like your bigger move. Like these are your swings based off low volume zones and volume profiles. But then like intra week, as I'm watching this, like when I see two things aligned, so like for example, when I see there's a low volume zone here, and then there's also a zone here on my hourly, what I'm probably going to do 9 times out of 10 is I'm probably going to take that trade of it bouncing into this area right here. That's going to probably act as support, as well as a small low volume zone. It's not that significant. You know, if this candle was all the way down here, it'd be probably the best, but it's something to take a stab at personally. So yeah, that wraps up the video. Pretty easy how I chart my hourly zones, and then also how I chart my low volume zones as well.